Hello friends, this is Rakesh from Bodhi Prep, and in this video I'll be taking DILR set which has appeared in CAT 2017. So let's take the questions. So it says that there are 7 elective courses E1 to E7 and they are running in a specific term in a college, and each of the 300 students enrolled has chosen just one elective from among these 7 electives. So, however, before the start of the term, E7 was withdrawn as the instructor concerned had left the college, and the student who had opted for E7 were allowed to join any of the remaining electives. So, what has happened is that out of 7, the 7th elective has been withdrawn, and those people who have taken 7th elective have been given option to take some other elective out of the rest of the 6 electives available, right? And the total number of students is 300. So, it's a very critical information. Further, it says that the student who had chosen other electives were given one chance to change their choices also. That means it's not necessary that only the students who have taken E7 as elective were given the choices. This choices was made available for all other students who have taken electives from E1 to E7 also, right? Now the table below captures the movement of the student from one elective to another during the process. So let's just focus on the table. So it says that from elective to elective. So here we can see that in this column, the very first column, the electives are E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6 and E7. And in the rows, it says E1, E2, E3, E4, E5 and E6. So let us understand this table, because the understanding of the table is very, very important. For example, if I say take this particular number 10, then what is this number 10? This number 10 means these are the number of students who earlier took E1 as their electives and later on they change to E3, right? So the rows, if I take the rows, that means these are the number of students for that particular row who have taken those elective earlier before the change. And if I take the column, then that is the number of students who have taken those elective after the change, right? One more example, for example, if I take the number say 34, so this 34 is the number of students who didn't change from elective to any other. Earlier there was they have taken elective E2 and later also they remained in elective E2, right? So let us read the further information. So it says that movement from one elective to the same elective simply means no movements. That's what we have just seen, right? The number 34. And some number in the table got accidentally erased. However, it's known that these were either 0 or 1. So if you can see that some of the cells are empty, so it is known that these empty cell will only take the number either 0 or 1, right? So after understanding this entire set, what we can deduce is that if I take the row E1 and if I add all these numbers, that means these total will give me the total number of students who took E1 before the change. And for example, if I take the row E2, the column E2, that means the number of the total number of students who took the elective E2 after the change. So the addition of row is before the change and addition of column is after the change. That's what we have understood. And the total number of students is 300, and there has no addition or deletion of any students before the change and after the change. So we can say that the total sum of the rows and the columns will be 300 each. I hope this particular information or this particular deduction has been understood, because this is very, very critical. We'll be using it repetitively to fill the entire cells or whatever the things have been left in the table, right? So if I want to find that how many students who have taken E2 before the change, then we have to simply add these rows, and in the first row we have all the values available. So we can add 9 plus 5 plus 10 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, which comes out to be 31. That means there were 31 students who took E1 before the change. And similarly, if I look at any other row, that is E7, so E7 is in total, if I add, then it is 101. So the total number of students who took E7 before the change is 101. And there is no other rows which is available, or there is no other rows available wherein all the data are given. So I'm just not adding it right now. But if I look at the columns, then I can say that E2 columns, all the values are given, right? So if I add all the values of E2, it comes out to be 76. So it simply means that initially or after the change, the total number of students who took E2 is 76, And before the change, the total number of students who took E1 is 31, and before the change, total number of students who took E7 is 101. I hope this is clear. I am repeating it deliberately just to make you understand that the table, what the table says, and how we have to deduce those things, right? Now let's come to the further information which is given. So further it says that there are three conditions given. It says that before the change process, there were 6 more students in E1 than E4. So before the change, the total number of students in E1 were 31, and it was more than, or it was 6 more than what E4 had, right? So that means E4, the total number of students before the change must be 25, right? That is 31 minus 6. It also says that, but after the reshuffling, the number of students in E4 were 3 more than E1. That means now we have to add the column. So the column addition of column E1, if it is X, then the addition of column E4 must be X plus 3, right? Because the data are not given, so I'm just taking the variables here so that this entire information has been captured. Now the next condition is that the number of students in E2 increased by 30 after the change. So if I look at after the change, the total number of students in E2 is 76. So before the change, it must be 30 less than 76, which comes out to be 46. So we can say that this value has to be 46, or the sum of all these cell has to be 46. Now let us just focus on the other the values which are not given in row E2. This value is not given and this value is not given, right? But if I add all other values, that is 34 plus 8 plus 2 plus 2, that these four values together add up to 46, right? That simply means that here we have to put 0, right guys? I think you are understanding it. The sum of the rows has to be 46. The two cells were not given, but the rest of the four values, that is 34, 8, 2 and 2, they add up to 46. That means the two cells has to take the value 0 only, right? Now let's move to the next. The third condition, it says that before the change process, E4 had 2 more students than E6. Now E4 we have 25 and E6 must be having 23 because E4 is 2 more than E6. And also it says that E2 had 10 students more than E3. So E2 is 46 and it is 10 more than E3. So that means this value has to be 36, right? Now we know that the total number of students were 300. That means the sum of all these total has to be 300. And out of these 7 values, we are not given E5, right? But we can add all the 6 values and subtract it to 300 to get this value. So if I add all these values, it comes out to be 262. And if I subtract 262 from 300, we'll be getting it 38. That means there were 38 students who took E5 before the change. I hope till now the things are clear and have been well understood. Now let's come back to let's come back to the table and let's see if I can fill some of the cells which are empty. Now if I look at say E3, then the sum is 36 here, right? And if I add the four values which are given, so it is 2 plus 6, that is 8, plus 25, it comes out to be the 33 plus 2, that is 35. That means in these two empty cell, one will be 0 and other will be 1. So if I take this to be 0, then this has to be 1, or if this is 1, then this has to be 0, right? So it's a multiple case, but I have just put it there so that later on by using other condition we can get the exact values there. Now similarly for E4, if I look at, then the sum here will be 3 plus 2 is 5 plus 14 is 19 plus 4 is 23, and there are two cells empty but the total is 25, and the empty cells can only take 0 and 1, and the sum right now is 23 but the total sum has to be 25. That means both these cells will take the value 1, right? So you can see guys, these are nothing but something like solving a Sudoku kind of thing, right? Similarly for E5, if I add, then that is 30 plus 5, that is 35, but the total is 38, and the empty cells are 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? Had it been only 3 empty cells, we would have put 1 on all those empty sets, but it is 4. So out of 4, 3 empty cells will take 1 as a value and the other will take 0 as a value, but right now we cannot figure out, so I'm just leaving it. Similarly for A6, if I can see, then that is 9 plus 2, 11, and this is 10 plus 11 is 21, and the total is 23. So you can see that the two empty cells, they will take the value as 1. I hope till now the things are clear. And so we have done everything whatever given in the question, whatever given in the conditions, and let us also try to identify the other values. Now here we can say that if I add even, because there is one condition which we have not figured out, and that is the total E1 and E4 has a difference of 3, that is x and x plus 3, which we have taken, right? So if I add 9 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4, it comes out to be 17. So I can say that the total value here would be either 17 or 18, depending upon which value will be which value will come into this cell, right? It will be either 0 or 1. If it is 0, then the sum will be 17. If it is 1, then the sum will be 18, right? Similarly, if I add E4, then it is 1, and I'm just leaving those cells which we have not figured out exactly, right? So it is 1 plus 14, it is 15, plus 1 is 16, plus 5 is 21. So here the total has to be 21 plus something, and that something will depend upon what value comes at this place and what value is occupied at this place. Now the important thing is that the value, if it is x in this cell and if it is x plus 3 in this cell, that means the difference has to be 3, right? Now if I look at closely, if I assume x to be 17, then here x plus 3 has to be 21 plus something, right? But the difference is already 4. Even if I put 0 at this place and 0 at this place, the sum will be 21, right? And the difference here would be 4, which it can't be because of the condition. That means we have to take the sum here to be 18, so that the difference remain 3, which simply means the value of x will be 7, value of x will be 18, and here the value 1 will come, right? I hope this is clear, because we have to take the difference to be 3. Similarly, since it is x is equal to 18, so this value has to be 21, so there is no other value the total values will be 21. So we can easily say that this value will take 0, or this cell will take 0, as well as this cell. So this cell will also 0, so that means this cell will take the value as 1, right? Now so we have figured out everything except E5. So here in fact we took E5 earlier, and we saw that 30 plus 5 plus 1 is 36, and there are two cells remaining, and the total has to be 38. That means both this cell will take the value as 1. Now while doing so, what we have done is that we have actually cracked this particular set. Every value, every empty cell, we know the exact value, and the sum of the rows and columns can easily be identified, right? So if I add E3, then the sum come out to be it will be 79. This will remain 21, and this sum will come out to be 45, and this sum will come out to be 61, right? Now we can go on solving the questions one by one. So the very first question is that how many elective courses among E1 to E6 had a decrease in their enrollment after the change process, right? So it's just a comparison, simple. So if I look at E1, then E1 was 31, and later on it became 18. That means E1 has a decrease, right? Similarly, E2, if I look at, then it was 46, later on it was 76, so there is an increase, so we have to discard it. For E3, it was 36, and later on it was 79, again we have to discard it. For E4, it was 25, and later on it was 21. That means for E4 there was a decrease. Similarly, for E5 it was 38, later on it was 45. For E6 it was 23, later on it was 61. So there are only two electives which has a decrease after the change process. That means the answer for this question would be option number 3, which is 2. So let's take the next question. Now it says that after the change process, which of the following is the correct sequence of the number of students in the 6 elective E1 to E6? So it's nothing but just comparing the options, which options meets 18, 76, 79, 21, 45 and 61. So if I compare directly, then it is option number 4. So this is a very easy question, because anyway we have already filled every data in the table given, right? So let's move to the next question. It says that after the change process, which course among E1 to E6 had the largest change in enrollment as the percentage of its original enrollment? So if I look at E1, then earlier it was 31 and later it became 18. So we can say that if I want to get an approximate percentage change, then it will not be it will not be more than 50%, right? For E2, earlier it was 46 and later it became 76, right? Similarly for E3, I'm just writing the numbers and then we'll be comparing it. For E3, it was 36 earlier, and later on it became 79. And for E6, it became it was 23 and later on it became 61, right? So if I just have a glance, then I can say that the last value, it became from 23 to 61, almost more than a double. That means there is an increase of more than 200 percentage. And the similar but which in all other case is less than 200 percentage, right? So straight away we can say that the answer is option 4, that is E6. Now let's move to the last question. It says that later the college impose a condition that if after the change of elective, the enrollment in any elective other than E7 dropped to less than 20 students, all the students who had left that course will be required to re-enroll for that elective. Right? That means after the change, if any elective have less than 20 students, then whosoever all those students who have changed from that elective to other elective will have to go back to take the same elective which they have taken before the change, right? So we have to find that which of the following is the current sequence of elective in decreasing order of their final enrollment if this condition is imposed. So let's move to this table again. So we can say that even the total number of students after the change is 18, and this is the only number which is less than 20. So what will happen is that those students who have taken who have changed from even to some other have to come back to even, right? So if I look at this particular row, then we can say that from even there were 5 people who took E2, then there were 10 people who took E3, then 1 people have taken E4, then 4 people E5, and 2 people E6. So these people have to come back and take that even take the elective even. So here the total will be 18 plus, it will be 5 plus 10 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, right? Which comes out to, if I do the addition, then it will be 18 plus 2 becomes 20, then 15, and this becomes 40 basically, right? And those people, so the number of students in E2, E3, E4, and E5, E6 will reduce to those respective numbers. So it will be 76 minus 5, because 5 people have moved back from E2 to E1. So here it will be 71, and for here again we have to deduct 10, so it will be 69. Here we have to deduct I think we have to deduct only 1, so it will be 20, and here we have to deduct 4, so it will be 41, and here we have to deduct only 2, so it will become 59, right? So now we have to just arrange them in a decreasing order. So we can see that the largest value here is 71, so it will be E2 first, and then followed by E3, then it will be followed by I think E6, and then it will be followed by E5, then it will be followed by E1, and at last it will be E4. So this is the correct order, that is 2, 3, 6, 5, 1, and 4. And if I look at the option, then we have 2, 3, 6, 5, 1, and 4. So option 1 is the right answer.